Hello, Mr. Daniels. I don't hear anything. Maybe that's me. Let me see. No, I can't hear you.
What about now?
And now I can hear, yes.
Perfect.
It's a bit quiet.
Yeah, this headset's kind of, I don't know, it's not great.
Yeah, can you say a few sentences?
Testing, Command and Conquer, generals, testing.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a voice, yeah. Um, do you, do we want to record this in case other people would find it interesting what we discuss? And so we have
Yeah,
like
we can.
so we have a
Yeah,
log of like whatever we talk about. Yeah.
yep, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, nice to talk to you again after half a year or so. Right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a lot of work in between, of course. The grind never
Yeah.
ends. Yes. So I did take well 3 hours ago. I did take 3 notes of what the topics could be. Let me put them in here. Yeah, some very high level notes.
Yeah,
Not,
this is going to be a long meeting.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's always a lot to talk about, right? Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, so I think one topic is still so right now the CNC Online has shut down, right? So Generals Online is now the only server in operation right now, and it's going well, right? So yeah, we can't use GameSpy SDK anymore. So now the question is like, how do we get Generals Online into upstream, and then yeah, like how could we do this without respecting VC6 yet? Like so, like we can ignore this for now. So what steps would be necessary for this? What do you think?
do you mean without VC6 or with VC6?
Without
I didn't.
VC6, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. I mean, it would be a huge code merge for sure, and it would need a lot of review, but like, there's nothing challenging there really. I mean, even the VC6 work it's not challenging in a technical sense, right? It's just time consuming. But I think if we're supporting modern C, I think it's fine. The VC6 side of it, we're kind of making progress there anyway, because we are moving to a structure where the game is going to load what's going to be called like the Go FDK or something like that. And then the Go FDK is going to load plugins, and those plugins will be things like networking, anti-cheat will be a plugin, those kind of things. So having that structure will actually make the VC6 stuff easier, because as long as it's ABI compatible and everything, we can just keep the modern C inside the DLLs. So I think we are making progress on the VC6 side kind of indirectly. We're doing that work for other reasons, but I think we are making progress there. But I don't think it's that much work I think with like probably a week of time, it's actually possible to just sit down and get a version of Go inside of Super Hackers with modern C++. Um, the other question there is we need to work out like what non-online parts do we bring back? Like for example, kind of just think of a quick example. Like for example, we changed it so that the uh, the team slots or start and position slots are color coded. Like, do we bring that back? Do we not bring that back? Because it's technically not a networking feature, right? It's not mandatory to play on the service, but it is an improvement that people have come to expect through Go. So I think there's going to be a lot of those that we need to consider on a case by case basis. But I think the core of like getting the Super Hackers client to actually connect to the server and actually be able to play with others through the server, I think is pretty straightforward.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I think for starters, the online component, that's the most important piece. Like the
Yeah.
modifications of the lobby, that's more like features and fluff that I think the thing you mentioned with the spots coloring, I think we also have a task for this. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's possible that some of these things can be also integrated, but that's a side quest. Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
There's I would say probably most of those things are cosmetic and optional. There's a couple that we would have to bring back. Like for example, in the original game, like you went to the lobby and then the host started the game and it brought up that screen doing the nat traversal. Like that flow is gone because we've already done the nat traversal earlier now, so that people are actually connected when they're in the lobby. So like that stuff we would have to bring back because that's an actual change in the game flow. But there's only a couple of those.
Yeah, we also still have to replicate these things to generals. So, like whatever is done to
Yeah.
0 hour would have to be ported over to generals.
Yeah, which we currently do not support on the service, I will say, but I would like to support generals. I think I mean, in terms of the server side, there's not too many differences between the two games, right? There's a couple of like lobby options and stuff like that, and some team IDs and whatnot. But on the service side, it should actually be pretty quick to support generals. It's mostly removing things. Um, so, but I would like us to get to the point where, and maybe the super hackers integration is a good time to do that work, is to actually make generals work as well.
So regarding the VC6, I think this is also something that we can assist with. So like not the plug-in side of things that you want to do anyway, but if there are like specific tasks that need to be done to enable VC6, then this is something we can do because we work more closely with the compiler, right? So like once the whole thing builds with C++20, then we can do the rest mile to fix that up. So that shouldn't be a problem. So you don't need to worry about this. Then we can just have like compile flag which says generals online, RTS generals online or something like this. And then if this is enabled, it compiles it in. If it causes compile errors with VC6, we don't care because then we just disable it for that target. And then it should be good from our side. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not using a ton of modern C either. Like probably like really is mainly going to be like Lambda's FTD format. I think that's pretty much it, to be honest, and for loop iterators as well, or for each iterators. But like aside from that, like we're not like I know some people go super deep and use like all the modern C++20 stuff and whatnot. We're not really doing that, so I don't think the port back to VC6 will be that expensive.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so okay, so it sounds like it wouldn't be far off, but you still have some plugin work to do. I mean, from our side, we are ready when you are. I mean, we have a lot of changes going on. Like for us, it's like it's just so much to do left and right, and we just touch everything in the client pretty much on all levels. We don't focus on tools. We don't focus on a server, but focusing on game and engine and bugs and features, and like it's a lot. And but so the risk that I see is that things can take a long time, right? Especially bigger reviews, they can drag. So like when you work on your branch, you will have a much higher velocity of success and merges than what you would have on our branch. So like when you do integrations, then it's probably something that over time we need to get like things in batches. Like I don't expect that you can work with high velocity on our branch. Like so doing like an integration every once in a while is probably then like the most reasonable step for now, unless you come into a situation where you slow down development more and more, right? Then it's probably not that much necessary anymore.
I think we'd expected like a slower pace of integration back to super hackers, and I think I'm actually looking forward to the code review, to be honest. I think it would be good to get a second set of eyes on like everything basically. especially given how quick we moved at the start of this project. I think there's probably stuff in there that we could go back and review, but I think the other thing as well is like once we move to the structure of like an SDK and plugins, I think it becomes easier to maintain because at that point, like there's going to be some period of time where we have a SuperHackers client and a Go client that both exist side by side, and I would rather the integrations actually go from the Go SDK to both of those branch or both of those repositories rather than doing like monthly or weekly pull requests from the Go client to the SuperHackers client, because I think those are going to diverge in feature set for sure. Like SuperHackers is going to have stuff that we don't have, and we're going to have like cosmetic stuff that you guys maybe don't have. I think if there's just the core SDK and some plugins that have all the networking and all the service calls, is going to be a lot easier to actually integrate fixes back. So I think that structure helps with that as well. It is still our goal that obviously at some point these two clients converge and there's just a SuperHackers client and there's just a General's online service. That hasn't changed, but there will be like a path to get there. Of course, we can't just turn it off overnight. But yeah, so I think that structure will help with reviews for sure and with regular, semi-regular integrations.
The plugins. So the plugins become like modules that we fetch in CMake, and then they're like components that we just link against, and then that's all we do, or how will this look?
So we have a first version of this that's pretty early on, and is being tested right now by the testing group. But basically, I mean, we haven't separated out in terms of Git repository, so that's all still TBD. But right now, the current version they're testing just has the game loading the plugin DLLs, but the eventual goal is that all of the Go service calls will be moved to DLL as well. So the game would load the Go service DLL and then any of the plugins that the user has selected. Right now, there's two variants of plugin. There's a networking plugin, structure, definition, whatever you want to call it. And then there's an anti-cheat one. For anti-cheat, the game can choose to load none, basically, and then there won't be an anti-cheat, and that's fine. That's up to the users. For networking, obviously, they have to load something. We'll provide the Valve one that we have today, but someone could bring something else if they want, right? They could bring, I don't know, something that's backed onto Radmin or something that's backed onto raw sockets or something like that. But the hope there is that it helps us on the integration side, but also gives users more options if they want to go do something else. So I don't know how we're going to deliver this yet in terms of like CMake setup and whatnot, and whether it comes from a Git repository or where it comes from. My current thinking is it will all be separate Git repositories. There'll be a Go game client, there'll be a Go SDK, and then there'll be one repository per plugin that we maintain. And obviously, all of this is going to be open source, so people can go build their own plugins for whatever they want. In terms of anti-cheat, we will provide a plugin for Easy anti-cheat. That will be optional on the user, of course. If they want to choose that for the game that they're hosting, they can. If they want to just continue without an anti-cheat, then they can do that too. That will be up to the client to decide basically which plugins they load.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if the user does not use this anti-cheat module?
So if you, let's say I start my client with Easy anti-cheat and you start yours without, like we wouldn't be able to play together because, well, I could join your game, but I would get a warning that the game's insecure, obviously, because you're not running the anti-cheat. The wording on that's probably going to not say this game's insecure, but it will warn me that you're not running the anti-cheat. In the reverse scenario, because I've chosen to load an anti-cheat and you've chosen not to, you wouldn't be able to join mine. You would have to go enable your anti-cheat.
Yeah, but but this module is like an open source module, right? Or it's not?
The plugin that we provide is open source. Yeah, Easy Anti-Cheat is not open source.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That's something that users would have to
But
obtain.
then I wonder, like, isn't it possible that the client can just build a stub DLL which simulates what the what the real one would have done and just signal to the server, yeah, I'm running anti-cheat here, but in reality it does not.
That shouldn't be possible with Easy Anti-Cheat because it does require that you install their software on your machine, and the software, like, I mean, it runs at kernel level and everything to watch what you're doing on your PC, which is a hot topic, I know, but I think at least we can somewhat trust Epic with Easy Anti-Cheat. And that's also why we chose Easy Anti-Cheat, is like people at least know the brand, right? It's used for Fortnite and all these other games on PC. So I think they would trust that more than us providing a random anti-cheat. But the way that their stuff works is like you basically you have a bunch of private keys and you have to sign you don't sign the executable itself, but you sign like a manifest basically that has all the information about the executable and the DLLs that the game has. So it doesn't modify the game executable. Like today, the version that's in testing, the same generals executable runs without anti-cheat and with anti-cheat. But inside of that protected signed, or I'll call it signed, even though the manifest is signed, not the binary, but inside of there, you have to like make certain calls to Epic servers to like begin anti-cheat sessions and all this kind of stuff. It basically, in the background process that Epic has provided, actually monitors that the executable that you're running is actually the one that matches the signed version of the manifest, or in the signed version of the manifest. So basically, like if you modified it so that you had a stub that wouldn't match anymore, and their background process would actually just tell you that the game isn't secure, isn't valid to join other secure clients. So it's pretty hard to spoof, yeah. Like they would basically need to get a hold of our private keys.
So the anti-cheat communicates with the Epic server directly, and then the online service communicates with the Epic server. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've already got this set up as well. Actually,
okay, I see. Okay,
yeah.
I thought that maybe the DLL would just communicate directly with Generals Online that way.
No, and we've tried this a bunch. We're actually seeing pretty good results with Easy Anti-Cheat. Like we basically tested every possible hack that we could get our hands on, and they've all been caught by it. So we're seeing pretty good results. Also, the way that people are hacked in general is pretty rudimentary. I mean, it's an old game, and it's very basic hacks that people do.
Yeah.
So it is catching those. And yeah, so the service basically, we've got the service set up today so that, and this only happens with the test branch. It's on the live server, but not on the live client, where they log into Go with whatever provider they've got. We give them a token and they have a user ID, obviously. You actually then the service, the client actually sends the Go token to Epic servers, which are actually then logs into Go through Epic using OpenID. And then that provides an Epic token for Easy Anti-Cheat. So we basically hooked up Epic authentication, or I guess federation with Go users. So all of that happens in the background, so no one ever has to sign into an Epic account or anything like that. So that's working well today, but they'll need a lot more testing. We're probably not going to be releasing that until April or May, to be honest. The other thing that's somewhat annoying with Easy Anti-Cheat is like you lose some ability to debug. Like you can obviously run the game without the plugin, and then you just have a normal generals instance that you can debug. The problem comes if there's any actual problems that you need to debug in the Easy Anti-Cheat flow. You basically can't debug that because it will never let you attach a debugger. So that's kind of time consuming. Like you have to fall back to printf debugging. The good news is that's only when you're debugging Easy Anti-Cheat. Like everything else, you can just debug normally.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Yeah, and it should also be kosher with the license, because everything is open source and the user can choose what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty good because there are always cheaters that want to ruin the experience for everyone else, and it's a hard problem to solve with this open source game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also time consuming, right? You need to like you can't just issue bans automatically. You have to go review everything, watch replays, screenshots. Like it's almost been a full-time job for a couple of people on Go. So we're hoping that if people choose to use Easy Anti-Cheat, it might make things a bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you kept asking me when is your first release and so on, and we have no idea. We just keep building. We see that Generals Online is doing fine, so there's no pressure on us to deliver anything. Sometimes in my YouTube comments, I get like, "Hey, when do you release?" But it's not that much. There's still a lot of to do. Yeah, so we still don't pressure ourselves with any releases or anything. We just keep building. Yeah, we are ready when you are with integration. We still have a bunch of things we want to fix up, like the camera, for example, and a bunch of features, and then we need to stabilize a bit more. We still have some mismatches that we need to fix. Yeah, and in the meantime, we also do like other advancements, like merging the code bases more and more. And yeah, I mean, there's unlimited amount of work right now. It just doesn't stop. You look into one thing, you find two more. It's never-ending story with this game.
Yeah.
So regarding the on the note of the like the if Generals was able to connect to Generals Online and mods and so on, what is the current state of lobby visibility to different kind of clients? Do all clients see each other no matter who they are, or they separated and they can't see other clients of other
Yeah, so
types?
currently today they can see everything. That is something that is about to change whenever we do our next service deployment. We've in the last few weeks we've done a lot of work to uh, isolate maybe the wrong word, but I'll use it isolate like separate clients more and more. So that will be in the next deployment basically. Now that is something that we could obviously change on a case by case basis. Like if you guys say that you want the Super Hackers client to see everything, then we can do that. That's fine. If you are fine with it only seeing Super Hackers games, that's also fine. Either of those is okay.
I would suggest to make this user configurable, that you can select, I want to see just my games that are compatible with my game version, or all of them.
Yeah, we can do that and just have the client send that as a flag when it gets
Yeah.
lobbies. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I think there will probably be some set of users that want to just know, like if I'm running client A and there's no games active, then it would be good to know that I can switch to client B rather than just think the server is dead.
Thinking this further, I think the ideal best case scenario is actually that a user goes into the lobby with any kind of client, and that he has the ability to join rooms either with like a restart, automatic restart, or with like a hot load. So if it's just like a matter of swapping ini files, then this can be done on runtime, right? If it requires a new game client executable, then of course it needs a restart. But like if there's something like if the game can communicate with GenHub, or let's say the first Generals Online tells like the client what other game version this is, and GenHub knows about this game client, then this could also automate help with installing and swapping to this other client. So ideally, like any kind of client goes into the lobby, they find, okay, there's a Shockwave player, there's a Contra mod player, or original game player, and then like it becomes easy to swap and discover other game versions and join them, right? Because historically it was always a pain, like you don't know who this guy is, what version is he playing. It's just grayed out, yeah, and you cannot join. You don't know anything about this player. But if we made this more streamlined so that you see, this guy is running this mod and this version, then it becomes much easier for the player population to join each other game and discover different kind of games. Like, let's say you see there are 5 rooms with this mod, yeah, and players very happy playing in there. then it could entice you to say, yeah, let's try this mod here with these guys. Maybe that's fun, right? So that like different communities come together that like to play different mods, and then there's like this interaction between these guys, like and then people discover, oh, I like this mod as well, or I like here this original game, right? And then the community flourishes more in different kind of contents that they can enjoy.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think if the game client supported hot loading of INI files today, I think the service would actually be fine with that as long as you informed it of the INI change. I do like the idea of like giving more context as to why you can't join, because yeah, the pop-up today is just like the person's running a different game or something like that, a different modified INI files or whatever. I do like the idea of like saying you can't join this person because they're running client A or because they have Shockwave or whatever. I think that's something we should strive for because it gives more info, right? If I actually really want to play with that person, I now know how I can go play with them. And like you said, we can integrate that into GenHub as well, where actually kind of automatically with prompt obviously acquire the thing that I need and actually run it. So yeah, definitely like that idea.
Regarding the other features, the game client specific ones that are not Generals Online specific. I suggested previously in the Command Center Discord to perhaps consider building Generals Online unrelated features in SuperHacker so that they go directly there through the review process and then back into Generals Online. If they are not like interconnected with the service or with what you already have that is very specific to Generals Online.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to, off the top of my head, remember what else we actually added, but the only one I remember is the color.
So for
I think there's some
example,
minor things like more starting cache and stuff like that. But
so for example, I saw that you built like this what is it called? This table that shows like players and their money and so on as observer, right? At the bottom middle of the
yeah,
screen, right? So this
well, I didn't build that. Ibra built that, but
yeah.
yeah.
So this looks like a General's Online unspecific feature, and like when I see this, like my first comment on this would have been that this is incompatible or it doesn't match well with the original control bar. This is like very specifically catered to Control Bar Pro add-on, right? So like if you overlay this on the original command bar, then you hide like the actual buttons that are underneath it, right? So it doesn't integrate well with the original game, and so like things like this would be revealed in like a code review when looking at these kind of features, right?
Yeah, I think that's something that I actually wasn't aware he was working on that, to be honest. He kind of sent me it when it was done. But he's new to this whole development process as well. So I think that's something we definitely need to improve. I think we need to have a better kind of early on detection of what is a goal specific feature versus what could just improve the base game. So yeah, I agree.
Regarding discovering game versions of other players is also something that we work towards in the LAN lobby. Cabal has like a work in progress change since a while already for this. I do wonder if it's also if you think that it's also worthwhile to have other kind of improvements to the network lobby, LAN lobby. So I was thinking, like, does it make sense to have IPv6, for example, for the network lobby? What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe. I mean, I think it kind of depends on, like, are we staying real LAN in terms of like people playing at like the community outpost event, for example, or are we talking about like LAN backed by Radman, basically? Like I think if it's LAN backed by Radman, I think there's a few open questions. Like one is like, do people still play on Radman after we actually finish all the stuff we're doing? Because I mean, if we do our job properly and we achieve our goals, then like Super Hackers client backed by Generals Online should be miles ahead of Radman on LAN, hopefully. I think the second question is we need to look into Radman and see does it actually support IPv6 stacks. I'm guessing it does, because I think you can even use it on like mobile networks and stuff. But I don't know a ton about Radman, to be honest. I've never actually even ran Radman. It's probably a bad admission to make, but I don't trust those virtual network softwares. So I think there's a few open questions there. But did you mean LAN by Radman or true LAN?
Yeah, either way, like even if it's like backed by some VPN, then it's still like the LAN lobby underneath, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I haven't been following the LAN development too much, to be honest. Like what kind of work has Cabal currently been doing?
Basically he added new messages on top of the current one, so that so basically the way it works, it's like it sends broadcasts to players on the
Mhm.
network to tell them, "Hey, I'm here. I opened this room." Like really basic communications and spammy notifications. And yeah, so then we send additional information like, okay, what product is this guy using, what version is he running, and so on. So little bit more metadata, because originally it doesn't tell anything, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
so basically, I'm still very fond of the network lobby because it means that the game is truly decentralized, right? So even if there's no backend, no online server, everyone can play this game because the network lobby just always worked. And this is also like a big factor that kept the game alive, right? I mean, there was CNC Online, but like it's like the last couple years, like most of the games were actually played on Game Ranger and Redman, which all use the network lobby or the direct connect, right? So there's really something to say. It makes the game proves the game from not being usable. Unlike modern games that require the always online connection to some backend, which eventually is shut down and then the whole game is defunct, right? So I think this is a pretty important feature, and this also brings me to the next topic. That so right now, and sorry if I'm going too fast, but like right now, we have a little bit of a conundrum with the understanding of Generals Online and the Generals Online client as being one brand, right? So I think this adds a lot of confusion to the vision of the whole journey. Players expect that the client is always bound to Generals Online, but it's like a conceptual mismatch, and I think it sets the wrong expectation, because I think like the ideal game client, it transcends a online server. It's like the ideal game client is just like it can use Generals Online, but it's not bound to it. It can use the network lobby, it can play single player, it can run mods. It's like it has full freedom. But right now, it's like, okay, you have Generals Online client and it's catered towards Generals Online, so it's not optimal the way it's set up. And I think part of it is that it's like tightly coupled technically, but then also coupled brand wise, right? And right now I see this a bit of a problem, but it's not a problem per se, because it's like a test version, right? It's the way you have set it up right now to get the people on there, and it's just logical that that's the way it is. But I hope that going forward, whenever the time is right, that this can be decoupled, and I think you hinted on that already.
Yeah, I think that will happen. And I think this is also going to become naturally more clear to people as we move forward, right? Because right now I think that coupling also exists because the only real, like, there's the online service, and then the only client that can consume the online service is the General's Online client. I think the minute we kind of rip the band-aid off and have a second client, which will be the Super Hackers client, I think people will start to realize that Go is more akin to like CNC Online.
Mm.
So I think having multiple clients will help there, and then obviously eventually we'll standardize upon I mean, from our standpoint, the official client will eventually be the Super Hackers one. There could be other clients that people make. Obviously, anyone can fork the thing and make whatever they want, but that will be the main client that we point people towards to consume Generals Online. So I do think that branding becomes more clear. I think there's like there's stuff that we need to do to, and I think like that login page that I shared, probably, even though it needs work, it probably helps a bit with this branding thing where we can try and get people to understand that they're running a Super Hackers client and the online service is provided by us. I think that also helps with like, I'll call it the blame game, right? Like someone when they can't connect to the server, we don't want them to blame you guys, we want them to blame us. Or vice versa, if the game client crashes, we want them to blame you guys and not us. So like I think that also helps with people understanding where responsibilities lie. Um, but I definitely think that branding is always the hardest part of anything, right? You can have the best technical product, but the branding can suck. So that's something that we're gonna have to work on together. I think coming back to LAN topic real quick as well, I'm wondering if there's stuff we can do to like, I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm just wondering like, is there a way that we just have or like you mentioned like keeping LAN for the purpose of like continuity of the game, basically, in case like everything blows up and like people are just back to playing on Radman. I wonder if there's a way that we can have it like not use the LAN lobby, but have a way that they can like run an embedded version of the Go server over Radman, so that you like in the case where you, me, and 5 other people wanted to play together, we would have our own instance of the server running. Obviously, we'd need to make it easy to run. Like the person wouldn't need to configure anything. Like for example, we probably wouldn't use SQL or MySQL. We would go use like SQLite or something like that, something that doesn't need a separate service and something installed, and it wouldn't need any configuration or anything. We'd need to make it like discover the fact that Radman is running and run in this kind of embedded mode. But I'm wondering if that's something we could do just to, even whether LAN still exists and gets improvements or not, just for continuity purposes, that people can still have like the online functionality, but running over Radman basically.
Okay, I don't know how this would technically work. I'm not particularly experienced in networking. But this to me sounds like then this would facilitate the online lobby instead of the network lobby.
Yeah, you like to the end user, you would have all the online functionality. Like you would still be able to go in and do quick match, for example, but you would be quick matching against whoever is in your Radman, basically. Because basically, I mean, from a technical standpoint, we would have one person host a game server instance locally, but we would handle all the spin up and setup and everything for them, like it would be invisible to them. And then everyone else would connect over Radman to that server, basically. So you would have the full online feature set, but you would be isolated to whoever is in your Radman, basically. And in theory, you could even have like stats continuation and stuff like that, because you would have a local version of player stats and stuff like that, but it would be specific to your Radman. So that might even be interesting as an improvement for LAN and Radman today, to be honest, to be able to have like a set of your, like if you have a Discord community or whatever, have those people in your Radman and have a kind of mini server just for you guys. Obviously, we don't want to fragment the user base a million times, but I think for continuity, plus there's probably always going to be some people that just want to play Radman. Maybe that helps. It would be a very embedded version of the server for sure. Like they wouldn't have to spin up SQL databases or turn servers or anything like that. The turn server is pointless anyway if you have Radman. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as an idea. Literally just thought of that now. So needs more baking for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we currently don't have any plans to make the networking more sophisticated than it ever was. We just extend it a bit with what is already there, and that will be good from our side. Yeah, and not break it so that it's still compatible with the retail clients for now. Yeah. Yeah, back on the topic of the branding. So from Super Hacker side, we don't actually want to publish. Like we don't want to be a publisher of the game client. like we would publish like tools and things like this, like, you know, things for
Yeah.
developers. But I think for the so the original plan was that that the community outpost would have been the publisher for the game client, and then would take care of all the community interactions, like, you know, talk with people and tell them how to use it and how to install, and they're building GenHub for this exact reason as well, for the publishing side. So that was the original plan. Right now they're not publishing because we're not delivering a good product yet. But you are publishing already your version, so you are right now the publisher and developer of Generals Online. So I don't know, do you still have like the desire going forward to be a publisher of the game client or not?
I think eventually we want to be out of doing that. I think there's a criteria that we need to hit for that to happen, obviously. Like, for example, we probably wouldn't be able to kill our client until you guys have a 60 hertz mode or something that feels as good as 60 hertz, because like we turned off 60 hertz before and like the feedback was like terrible. Like
brutal.
my Discord was just blowing up and we were like, yeah, okay, revert. The amount of hateful messages was just insane. But I think that's like something we would need, for example. There's definitely a criteria, but I think long term, I don't see why we would maintain a client. Like I think if you guys have Go integrated and get the 60 hertz, then I don't see any reason to have a separate client, really.
Yeah, I do think the 60 FPS clients is a bit off, a bit. It still takes a while because there's still a lot to do to properly decouple things, and like we want to be rather methodical on this and not miss a thing, and have no surprises. And there's just so much systems that need this decoupling. And I think before we reach that, we probably will have first like the like the first step right now is to completely decouple the render update from the logic update, right? First these. Because this then allows to run the logic independent of the render update, right? And then afterwards, then the next is, okay, how many frames are actually per second in the logic update? And then this is what you guys have, and this is where the next set of bugs will be. Yeah, but we are not there yet.
I think there's a lot of optimization that's going to be needed as well. Like that's one of the kind of recurring things that we've been battling as well. It's just like there are a lot of old machines that run Generals today.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. Like I was surprised that you went with this configuration so early, because to me it sounded like, okay, like the client would needed more optimization before considering this, because it doubles the requirements, or maybe even more. Probably doubling. I don't know if there's like an exponential cost to doubling the logic frames per second. I'm not sure about that. Maybe it's just linear, but yeah, it's tough for those low clients. I think in the ideal case, best case from technical sides, apart from like making everything faster, is to be able to throttle it down, right? So that if clients discover that they cannot keep up with this fast tick rate, that the game can decide, okay, we throttle down to 45 or to 30, like the way it used to be, so that the real time goes up again, right? Because you want to avoid that the real time of the game goes down, essentially.
Yeah, and we are playing with some stuff there. Like we've got some logic that we're trying out that like if locally you start kind of missing your target frame times, that we start turning off certain effects for a period and stuff like that. We do turn them back on, because what we are seeing with, I mean, it's probably present in the 30 hertz as well, but maybe less visible, probably visible through a profiler. But we are seeing that like it's contextual in the sense that like someone can have a good PC or a reasonably good PC and be fine up until a huge battle breaks out somewhere, and then when they're viewing that, like their frame rate drops to like 20 or something. But once that battle ends or they move the camera somewhere else, the performance goes back. So we're dynamically scaling the visual options up and down to try and help with that a bit. It's not even always low PCs either. Like we've seen some instances where like Domi, for example, who has a decent PC, like still has huge battles and drops, right? We know this game's not optimized and also using like ancient version of DirectX and everything. So I think there's tons of work to do there, for sure. On branding as well, I think we are gonna struggle with like that separation of super hackers and community outposts. Like I think that's even when I first kind of joined community outposts, I was kind of confused with like what the difference was. I think that's something we're going to struggle with publicly because I think they will view, even though community outpost will be the Discord and the publisher, I still think they're going to view super hackers as the publisher. So I think there's going to be a lot of branding work we need to do generally.
Basically, what we need to have a product name for the clients. Originally, that was supposed to be community patch. That was what the community outpost named it, or wanted it to be named. What our first choice was super patch, yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. Whatever the name is fine. And so that basically you have a product. It has its own name. It's unrelated to the server. It's unrelated to publishers. It's unrelated to developers. It's just like a product, so that the user only associates with a product name. He says, I play this product and I play it in the network room or on Generals Online or with Redmine, right? So like the product name becomes like the main thing of, aha, I want to play this and I want to play it here. Right now it's like, okay, I want to play Generals Online, and then it implies it's Generals Online client and on Generals Online server, and you can't use it anywhere else, right? So it's not the ideal situation. Like, but even if you could use it on network, then it would still be ambiguous. If they say, let's play Generals Online, then they're not sure. Okay, do you mean the server or do you mean the client? Like, it's not clear, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the vision is, in the end you have like Gen Hub and you have like this one product and like multiple. As far as I know, that at least that's the desired design. Even different publishers could be able to offer the same product in their catalog. So let's say you have like Generals Online as a publisher and you have Community Outpost as a publisher, then both could offer the same product that's backed by the same version in their catalog. The only problem is it would still require one entity to be able to push the final version that is available then there for the user. I don't know how that would work, because you still need like one entity needs to be there that pushes the final version, and I don't know yet what that would look like, because like now we have like a lot of different entities that want to contribute to this, but there's like we don't have a process for this. Like, how does it flow from the different entities? So we have super hackers building on code, but then we will also have super hackers building on data. Then we have a design committee now that was elected to decide on like designs that will also build prototypes. And then we have Generals Online that is currently publishing the client and authoring the server. So like you have all these different entities and we don't have any processes. And right now, no one understands how this will work in the end. So like, for example, the guys in the game design committee, they don't know how this will look like. There's no clarity for them. Like, I try to explain things. I also don't have all the answers, but I have like a broad understanding of what it should be or what it would look like. But it's really hard to explain, because right now players expect it to work exactly like how it is in Generals Online, and no deviation of it, because it just works. Like they download whatever launcher you have or installer, they launch it, they go to online, it does auto updates, and it just works, right? So right now the status quo is the expectation from the player, because there's no other expectation that they can think of. right? So
Yeah. Although I think GenHub will add a lot of improvement there. Like I get that people like the in-game auto updater, but like realistically, it's kind of annoying. Like you run the game, it takes an update, you have to rerun the game. Like it would be much nicer if things just happen out of process, like Steam or GenHub. And you would have an auto update that could even update in the background. So I think all that stuff will help.
yeah, so I mean the Gen Hub itself is supposed to be like a Steam client, and Steam does it the same way. It
Yeah.
has like this update button when you have a game and it updates, and you update directly in Steam, and then you launch it in the updated state, right? So this would be the same in Gen Hub. I don't know if there's still a case to make where, hey, the update doesn't need to be in Gen Hub, but it should be when you connect to the server. Do you think there's still a use case for this or not?
No, I think once GenHub, I mean, you'd still want a version check for, well, let me think about this for a second. I mean, the version check basically needs to go anyway once you've got multiple clients, or at least be disabled for other clients, because it would be kind of weird that someone would run the Super Hackers version, be offered an update, and all of a sudden they've got a different client. Like that can't happen. So I think it would make sense to just get rid of it at that point, because once you have multiple clients anyway, like you should just let any client connect, and once they connect is when you determine whether like who they can join, basically. So that will change the minute we have a Super Hackers client. I think initially, I mean, it's going to depend on what state GenHub is in, but there's two options there. The minute the Super Hackers client is ready, with online, I mean, then if GenHub is out and it's stable and everything, then I think we just offload updates fully to GenHub, and any client can join the server. I think option B is for the case where GenHub isn't ready, like it's not out or whatever. Then I think we disable auto update for everything that isn't the Go client, and Go would still deliver our client that way because it's the only way we have to deliver updates. But and then Super Hackers would need to work out how they deliver updates, which maybe is just GitHub or through Discord or something. But hopefully GenHub is out by that point, and we can just offload the update process to them.
Yeah, I what what the people in the design committee say is they want to work towards one version for multiplayer, not multiples. One version.
Yeah, I think
So
that makes sense.
yeah, so that every player plays the same base version of the game, and other than this, you would only have mods on the side. So you would have a Contra mod and a Shockwave mod and so on. Yeah, I think it makes sense, but I think like from server side, I think the server should not discriminate. Like it should just accept whatever client is compatible with Generals Online, like a totally project agnostic. Like so, if someone decided, hey, I don't want to play this mainstream version or this mod, I will have to make my own, and then I just want to connect to Generals Online anyway, then I think this should be fine. Like you shouldn't be blocked from it or prevented. Like it should work anyway. And this way you also don't need to like green light anything. Like it's just like any project that is compatible can just connect and use it. And yeah, I think
Yeah,
that would
and
be
this
the best case.
actually does work today on the service. We a lot of times we actually run debug clients on the live server, just so we like sometimes we want to test something between like 3 or 4 of us, but we don't want to stand up a test environment for it. And it's literally as easy as just like once we do the online check, there's a bool for like needs update. If you literally just set needs update equals false in the client, you'll be able to connect and do everything. So that this already works. You'll be able to basically connect with any client and then join other instances of that client or other users with that client. So this actually already works. Like it's just a client side thing that you can disable. There's nothing on the server that actually mandates that you update.
Yeah, I think this will be good for any users that potentially want to use like a version that they like better. Like ideally, we have like one main version that just everyone agrees that is perfect, and they don't need like other versions, but I think there will always be a desire for someone, a group of friends, to have something special that, you know, that deviates in some ways. It's inevitable. It's an open source game, and everyone is free to mod it the way they like, right? And if that's incompatible with the mainstream version, then so be it, right? And I see like a lot of pushback against this idea, and for me it's hard to understand why it needs to be prevented or why it should not be supported. Like, I think it's important that we are liberal, that the server is liberal in this regard. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Like
There's no reason to enforce this on the server, right? We're not selling microtransactions or something where we want people to use our client. Like, there's nothing. It doesn't really matter what client they're on. The only thing we have to do is check that they play with compatible clients, basically, because that's a technical requirement. But like beyond that, there's no reason for us to enforce a certain client over another.
Okay. Yeah, this sounds great. Yeah, timeline wise, I mean, it's probably still takes a long time. So for the time being, nothing will change. You do the Go updates and server work, and that's good. It's good
Yeah,
that
although I do want to get to the super hackers work like pretty soon, because I think it's good. Also, it's going to help me kind of prove out if there's any parts on the service that don't support multiple clients. So I want to get that going too. Probably once I get back. I'm still away for this week, basically. But once I get back, that along with the plugin work is kind of top of mind.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good to see that it has already amassed quite a number of players.
I didn't even know that many people still played General, to be honest. Like, I'm surprised.
You're surprised? Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is that even on Gen Tour, so on the retail game, there's also still a huge population. So this is not the entire player base on the server right now. I don't know the splits, but like when you look at on the Gen 2 server, the uploads there is still like thousands of folders every day. So there's still players out there that play retail right now. So yeah, I don't know if this will be like this forever, or if like it will slowly die out and like the new ecosystem keeps growing more and more, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. We were really surprised because like obviously we knew that people were still playing on Radmin and stuff and Game Ranger, but at the same time, like we never thought this would actually become popular. Like, I don't know. I think also the landscape was a bit different as well because like CNC Online still existed, right? So people still had a way of playing online, and there wasn't a ton of people on CNC Online. So we're like, well, will people really care about an online service? But I guess they
well,
do.
I mean, it's not just online service. I mean, a big benefit, part of the benefit is that you get a more stable game, and I think that's like also something that
Yeah.
really excites players. Plus the smoother gameplay experience, right? So, like, it's like a huge improvement on all fronts. Like, it's not just a server, right? And so it's logical that players will switch to whatever game runs faster and more stable, less mismatches, right? It's inevitable. So, like going forward, I mean, I say this since 5 years already that this is the route. The only thing that held us back for this long was not having the code. I mean, we worked towards it with a time project, but luckily that's no longer necessary. Yeah, so it will just keep getting better. I know that there's still some players that still stick to retail because of some bugs that are still in there that we haven't solved, or regressions that we added. So there's still more polishing we need to do for sure. But I think it's already good to see that things are going ahead and that there's still populations on both ends. Yeah, my worry initially was that by doing the split that it could like be a detriment to the to one side of the player base, but that seems to be not the case. So I guess that's fine.
Yeah, and the way that I view this as well is like the people that are playing on Go are people that we've already convinced to move from whatever retail client backed by CNC Online or Radman or whatever, like onto the Super Hackers patch, right? Because eventually these clients are all going to converge. So this just means that we've already convinced these people to give up the retail client basically and move over to the Super Hackers client. So I think that's good. Obviously, there's still a ton of people on Radman and Game Ranger and so on that we don't need to get them over. That's maybe the wrong word, but we want to at least make them aware of the fact that there's a better client coming and online service.
Yeah.
But given that these are basically the same client at the end of the day and they're going to combine, I think it's good velocity to get people onto the Super Hackers client.
Yeah, I mean they don't need to, but it is encouraged because the original client has like huge security issues, right? You can do
Yeah.
remote code execution on them, so I mean there must be a point when they better let go of this.
Yeah, and the other thing is like everything that we're doing is improving things, right? We're not making anything worse. So like for me at least, like I don't know why I would ever stay on the retail client once the Super Hackers client is out and is just fixing more and more things with the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what is your expectation as to like what could be a time frame for the begin of integrations?
I think I will probably start integration before the plugin work finishes, just to get a base version of it, and then bring in the plugin stuff. Which means that the first integration would be modern C or modern C++ rather. I think I'm probably going to start that once I get back from vacation, but it won't be 100% of my full time, obviously, because there's still some other. I mean, we've got that. There's going to be the Super Hackers merge effort. There's going to be the plugin work, and there'll be other things that happen along the way. There's always service issues and stuff that we need to address. But I also never really dedicate like my time 100% to one thing. I like to have different types of tasks to go work on. Find it more interesting. But I probably will start a version of that. I also want to look at kind of, I guess this is also technically an integration, but I want to look at how much work is needed to support generals. I'll probably do that in the Go branch or Go fork, and then depending on where that ends up, bring that back as well. I don't know if Go will ever ship a generals client. I don't know if that's on the. I haven't really thought about that, so I don't know if that's on the radar for us. Like a base generals client. I mean, obviously we ship zero over, but so that might be something that we just leave to Super Hackers to do. I really don't know there. I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, need to think on whether Generals Online ever actually ships a vanilla client, but I think on the service side, it's something we should support though for sure. Even just for preserving the game, right? I want people to be able to play the game. It's kind of bad in a way that we only support one of the two games today.
Yeah, I mean the player base of generals is much lower. It's not in high demand, but there is like a small player base on Gentool. I do see games being generated.
Yeah,
Plus,
and most of the code should be this, like from on the service side, the code shouldn't really vary that much. And then on like, in terms of like client code, like it's another integration to do, but like the actual code should be 99% the same. It's just a bunch of service calls. The networking code is not going to change at all between zero and vanilla generals for generals online because it's going to be identical. There's no reason for it to be different. But yeah, really, it's just the only real difference is going to be like there's going to be some different flags that you send to lobbies and stuff like that because like some settings for the lobby weren't in the original game and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be wildly different.
Maybe a task that you can assign to us is if you can figure out if there are files that need to be touched for generals that have been touched for 0 hour, but they are not yet in the unified core, that maybe we do a merge effort before you bring this stuff over. So if you say, okay, we need all these UI files and all these thingies merged, then we can do that, which then means we don't need to replicate the stuff anymore because it will already all be merged for both games.
Yeah, I mean the online lobby UI files, like the 5 or 6 of them that there are definitely going to be touched a lot. Merging them's probably going to be quite a bit of work too, though, I guess, because there's definitely a lot of differences
That's
between
okay.
the two lobbies.
I suggest if you know which files need merging, just send me a list and then we will do it soon.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I can.
then that will make the whole effort easier, right?
Yeah, and the changes that we make to those files aren't like too big, from what I recall. Like most of it's just make service call and then handle the response from the service to do whatever it needs to do on the UI or whatever. But shouldn't be like most of the actual logic of like the making the service calls and everything and networking and everything is actually abstracted away into some Go files that we added. So it should be pretty minimal, the work that we need to do to those UIs.
Okay. Yeah, and we have gotten pretty good at merging the code bases, so should be no problem.
Yeah.
Cool. There's one more topic that just came to my mind, and that is the game design committee guys. They're looking very much forward once they have decided on some changes and they can build a prototype that they can actually push it to the Go to the Go client. And right now there's no process to do this, so I think the guys are eager to know how this could be made possible.
Yeah. What's their current process look like? So they're gonna propose changes. Let's say they change the paladin tank or something, and that change is gonna go into super hackers, or where does it go?
So right now that's not yet discussed how this actually will work. So the status quo is the following. On super hackers we have the two main repositories, the code one that you know about obviously, and then we also have a patch repository, but it wasn't maintained for a long time and it's very work in progress, and yeah, it's still like a mountain to do, so it just sits there in this pause. So the new committee, but it does mean that these projects they have accumulated a lot of knowledge about the game, like a lot of bug reports, a lot of design discussions, and like change proposals and implementations, and like there's a lot of stuff there, especially in the patch project for the data, for the ini files and so on, right? And so there's already a lot of knowledge, but there need to be decisions made. So the game design committee will make decisions on which bug fixes are safe to do, are acceptable, what is not good to do, right? And like what design decisions should be made that are reasonable and safe, and the least amount of controversial or causing upset with players, right? And so once we have this, we can then build it into some actual prototype or some version. I mean, right now Super Hackers is not focusing on patch development on data side, just code. But I think what we can do is we can build like a very light version and just like, start adding some of the fixes that were decided, and like build up like a new project that is very lightweight and with a minimal amount of things, and slowly go there, and basically things that are relevant to these controversial topics. and it doesn't encompass like all kinds of changes to the data, but like a small subset of things. Like a lot of changes, well, a lot of fixes are cosmetics, for example, right? And these are not relevant for this kind of work. So we're talking like, I don't know, it could be 100, 200, 300, 500 changes, maybe fixes and changes, right? I'm not entirely sure, but it will be a small subset, maybe probably only ini files. The other rest will be code changes that go into super hackers code, so that's not a problem. Then we probably will have compile flags for these different kind of behaviors, like we already do. But yeah, shipping these ini files that are then built, this would be a separate step, right? And ideally, so what I've heard that they would like to have it bundled with Generals Online as is. So it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. Sorry for talking so much about it.
Yeah, I think it's good that we've got a formal process in place for this now, because like we definitely have not had a formal process for this on the Go side, and like it's been a bit of a mess, to be honest. Like we do build the client now with retail compatible bug, but without retail compatible CRC. But I mean, like you've probably seen the thread on Game Replays with like all the complaints of like different things changing and some fixes not being in there and all this, and like anytime we make a client update, we always get feedback on like things that you would think people wouldn't even notice, but they do. So I think having a formal process here is going to help, because at least things have gone through a review at that point with a committee of people that understand the game and the balance of the game and so on. I think that will probably help with the community reaction, and I'm hoping it kind of takes this is maybe kind of evil to say, but takes the burden off of us.
Yeah,
Because right
it
now,
does. It takes a burden off of all developers, essentially. Like
yeah,
also super hackers. It's like it's good for everyone. Like because when developers make changes and design decisions, then it adds a lot of scrutiny, and it's easy to make mistakes, right? So like if you have experienced players who make these decisions and it got the backing of community, then it gives it more weight. And I mean, it can still happen that there are misjudgments and mistakes made, but then these things can be corrected. But ideally, it would be like so much reviewing done that like the changes are solid and that there's a high confidence that players will be very happy with the changes that are coming. And I think that's why the committee is very much looking forward to like have this distributed with Generals Online early, once it's ready, and not wait until our version is ready or so, right?
yeah, and I don't see why we wouldn't publish their changes. Like the way that I'm viewing this is to be honest, the people that would complain to us when we made an update and did balance changes are the same people that are on the committee. So hopefully whatever's coming out of that committee is ratified by the community of people that are so deep in this game that they recognize like the smallest change. So I think at that point it becomes easier for us if anyone does complain to just say, well, like this is being reviewed by like some of the best players and most experienced players. So they know more than we will ever know as developers.
Maybe this is something that can be explicitly communicated in the product, that it says that if there are concerns or questions about gameplay related changes, please reach out to the committee, and then link to the GitHub of the committee, which I can send you, and then like have properly communicate that this is not authored by Generals Online, but Generals Online just publishes these things that have been built by this different entity, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that makes sense, and yeah, we should put that like on probably the website, the installer, and also in the message of the day when people connect. I think this is also going to help just clear it up generally, right? Like we've seen on the Game Replays thread that people don't really understand who's making these changes. Like we get blamed, or Super Hackers gets blamed, or we both get blamed, and it's like now at least there's actually a formal process in place and people are actually making like informed decisions, and it's not just like URI changed the variable or something like that changed the behavior of the game. So I think this is going to help a lot. So yeah, we would be interested in publishing their changes, and yeah, we'll kind of promote / point people to where they need to go to file complaints, if we want to call it that.
This sounds good. Yeah, I haven't yet spoken with our team members how we proceed with the data. I have scheduled a meeting for next Sunday at 11 UTC or so. Sunday 11 UTC, and then there we will talk about the steps how we want to approach it. I have like some idea, but I know that other guys also have, so we will discuss this. My suspicion, I expect that we will have some really lightweight ini changes, put it into a big file, and then this can be deployed next to the executable, and then that should be it. For starters, long term, I think this will change then again when we pick up the work for our data patch, that we then get those changes from that were decided by the committee and get them in there, and then also additional more fixes on top. Like there's language files, there's window files, there's AI scripts, art things like models and textures. Like there's a whole area of things that you can fix, and like the gameplay bugs is just like a small section of it, but obviously like one of the most important because it directly affects the way people play this game, right? So for the game design committee, they are mainly concerned about like actual gameplay bugs and design and balance changes and things like this. And I think this will be good enough for like the first stages to have like a minimal small product. So it shouldn't be large either. So I think the ini files, they're like 16 megabytes or so. It's easy to save like 4 megabyte or so by just stripping out all the white spaces of them, makes them smaller already. I don't know, do you actually compress your distributed files in a zip, or?
We just have a standard setup. Like we have a normal Windows installer, I guess, that has compressed data inside for sure, because we ship it with like the .NET framework as well as
and when you auto download.
Once you're in game, the only thing that like the in game or in client update, the only thing that's being sent to you is actually the main game executable. We don't actually, that's not true anymore. Sorry, it used to be that way, and then we ran into antivirus hell. So yeah, there is an update executable that you get, which is actually the same underlying installer that the initial setup has, but has less things in it. Like it doesn't have the VC runtime or .NET, because we assumed that if you're making an in-game update, then you already had those things because you're running the game. So it's a smaller version, basically. I think the initial setup's like 90 megabytes or something, and the update is like 20, something like that. So it's definitely compressed for sure, because VC runtime plus .NET is already bigger than that.
I wonder if in the future we can also have like proper compression with the big files and compressor files directly in there.
Probably. I mean, if we just,
that would make the like all the deliveries smaller, which is probably good, because there will be a lot of people that download these things, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could just like compress and uncompress with like Z standard or something like that. It'd probably get huge gains.
Okay. Yeah, I think then the people will be very happy to hear that this is on the table. Yeah. Then, yeah, because otherwise, if we first had to wait for super hackers, then this would take a very long time, because super hackers is not focusing on. It doesn't even want to do publishing, right? So so it's probably the fastest to deliver it together with the current Go client as is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then I also I don't know if previously we were talking about the performance, right? With a higher tick rate that there's performance issues. I'm currently working on. I don't know if I already mentioned it. Decoupling the logic time logic. No, it's different. Never mind. I'm currently working on something for logic and render decoupling, but it's not that. It's not the frames per second logic frames per second. It's the time scale of the logic. Yeah, actually no.
Right.
Hold on. It means. Well, so basically, it will be possible to run more. Will be possible to run more. Actually, no, it's relevant. I was confusing myself. It is relevant to the performance. So right now the logic cannot run faster than the max render FPS, right? So
Yeah.
right now I'm decoupling this, so it will be possible to run more logic frames than actual render frames. So what you can then do is you can lower the max render FPS and run more simulation frames, because then you save this rendering amount, right? So like it would be a possibility to say, okay, there are more. There's this one client that is throttling everyone down. Then let's reduce his render FPS. That means his logic update is still fast, but his render FPS is struggling then a bit more. So it's like another way to decrease the visual quality, but keep the game fast.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look into that once it's checked in, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, we're probably long overdue a Super Hackers integration back into Go as well. We haven't done one in a while because I've been away.
Mm-hmm. And I think also because there was like a mismatch. Someone mentioned there was some mismatching. I don't know what happened with this. We fixed some more mismatches in pathfinding and some other places, but we didn't explicitly see like something that would cause network mismatches. Yeah. So
I don't think we saw much of an uptick in mismatches in the most recent client. We had a bunch of like stability fixes that we did, but those were on our side, not your guys' side. And then we kind of locked onto that client like a week or so before I left, just so that I wasn't like, I didn't want to travel and like leave a potentially unstable client. So sometimes we do kind of stick on a version for a while if we're not going to be around to fix things. So it's really on our side as to why we've not updated. It's not anything on your side.
Okay. Do we have any other topic?
Nothing comes to mind. Usually if like stuff does come to mind, I just drop your Discord message, so or post in the community outpost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then send me a list of things to merge when you have it. Then we do that.
Yep. Sounds good.
Otherwise, we just keep building. There will be a refactor coming for the net packets. The next one. Okay. So we rewrite the whole net package shit, because it's like this unreadable, unmaintainable, crappy mess, and like everything will be nicely consolidated into like nicely maintainable units. I think it's about to be merged, and then there's only one thing left about the reading of the packet data, but that should be pretty straightforward. I think the most work is already done, and it should be now pretty easy to like understand and maintain and add new things and so on. Yeah, when there's such a need. So it's about these messages that are being sent to control, like what you actually want to do, what kind of actions, right? For the player that dictate the simulation steps. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that one will hit us too hard, that merge. I don't think we really modified the net packet stuff that much. We just modified the transport. And even then, we still have the full UDP transport that was in the original game because it's still necessary for LAN.
Okay. I thought that maybe you touched it because, I mean, you do like networking stuff. I don't know. But yeah, it's like for the communication between the clients. So maybe it's not relevant for the online server to touch this at all, right? Because you're just like, basically you're just doing matchmaking. You're putting the clients together. You're not like changing how the game, how the peers communicate with each other afterwards, right?
Yeah, we changed the transport, but we didn't change the actual like packet structure, if that makes sense, or how the packets are constructed.
So the players do communicate in different way now?
I mean the flow is the same, but instead of hitting like you have the class transport and transport.cpp, instead of hitting that, you hit a different transport, and then from there the packets will either go directly if possible, or we'll use a relay if it's necessary. So basically in the base game as well as the super hackers code right now, you just have transport.cpp. We've made the transport class virtual, and then we've got UDP transport, which is actually just the original transport class copy pasted and renamed. And then there's I think we called it like Go transport or next gen transport or something like that, that actually uses the Valve networking. And then that's the layer where we decide whether the packets go direct or they go through a relay. And then the Go transport also does a bunch of like signaling and stuff like that to actually be able to handshake or rendezvous between the clients and stuff like that. So there are changes in terms of how the packets get there, but the actual way that packets are structured and constructed has not changed.
Okay. And I suspect that the new transport is just better, faster,
Yeah, it's more reliable,
more
faster,
reliable. Okay.
supports IPv6, supports strict NAT, all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Once my statement about not changing how the packets are structured and stuff applies to the game packet itself. Once it reaches our network layer, we sometimes do have to add on some bytes for things like relays and stuff like that. Because also when you send it to a relay, it needs to know where it's going. So there are some stuff that's different there. And then also the traffic is encrypted. I mean, I know they claim the original game was encrypted, but it was like an XOR function that basically did nothing. We are actually properly encrypting things, but that only happens on our transport as well, because you need the keys from the service, basically. So there are some changes beyond the game, I guess, but the actual game packets are the same as they were in the original game or the original Super Hackers code.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, I think that's all the topics. Do you have anything else?
I do not. It's been good to catch up, though. It's been a while since we had one of these, so it's good.
Yeah, I think it's my understanding is that we are pretty much in alignment of like visions, but we still don't have like all the like we don't have all the processes figured out yet, right? So for example,
Yeah.
how do we then deliver like this these init changes to you? But I guess it's something we can then figure out. Like maybe it's just a matter of we give you some raw files and then you you work it out yourself, right? And that's it then.
Yeah, I think the main thing is we're in alignment on everything. Like there's still a lot of questions on how we deliver things and all that, and also timeline, because we just have so much work on both sides. But I think the main thing is that we're aligned on the plan. How fast we get there and how we get there is the kind of hard part, I guess, and that's where all the work is. But at least we're aligned. It would be worse if we weren't aligned.
Yeah. I still don't stress myself about this work. I just work ahead and make progress, and I think that's good. It would be bad, I think, if I felt like pressure to deliver and release and service the people. And
Yeah.
it's good when developers are free of this and they can just build. This makes it so much easier. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, it was nice talking with you. I will upload this session, this recording to YouTube and share it with the other guys, and they also understand like the broader vision. And I think people will be happy to hear that there can be short-term solutions for some of the gameplay fixes. Yeah. From code side, we will continue as before with these flags. They will be in there to enable and disable things. Yeah. So everything should be straightforward to adopt. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
Then I wish you a good time and
Yeah, you too.
a lot of
Yes, it's
success.
late there, so I hope you have a good sleep.
Oh yeah, it's time to hop to bed soon. Yeah. All right. Then
All right, cool.
all the best.
Thanks for your time. Yeah, you
Bye-bye.
too. Talk to you again soon. Bye bye.